our next segment, Player of the Day, has World's teams on it, at least if you were to ask us today. We have a little bit of a tie as it pertains to who we wanted to select as the Player of the Day on Saturday, World's Day number 2 in the play-ins. Who did you choose?
I choose my man No Man's, and I've been on the bandwagon since the tournament started. When I was doing my pre-tournament prep, I was talking about how I thought No Man's was an excellent player. While I brought him up in our top 20 show, I said if there was a wildcard player I would, recommend to be looked at for the top 20, it would be No Man's. I think he showed today that he has the mechanical skill to be one of the better players at a tournament. Again, a bit arrogant, a bit overconfident with how he played the casting at the end, but I like the swagger. I like the disrespect sometimes. I like it in the play-in stage where he knows he's better than a lot of these players. I think his casting the game speaks for itself. When I talk about Worlds and I talk about moments at Worlds, we talked about D yesterday where Coach D comes in from the bench, not even from the bench, from the coach's box, and comes in, goes 2-0, beats LGD. It's a great moment. It's a moment we're going to remember forever. The casted in play that No Man's had today is going to be replayed forever. That's a little nugget. That's going to be a play that is played in future packages for the next 10, 20 years of League of Legends lore. Even when we go to League of Legends 2 and League of Legends 3, we're still going to be seeing this annoying casted in play, and that's why I give No Man's my player of the day.
Is it Ash Prayer Arrow vicinity?
No,
like it's not the best world of all time.
It's in the top 50. It's a play that we'll remember. It's a play that when you talk about 2020,
you were talking it up.
I'm talking it up. It's a great play, but again, it doesn't have the context, right? If that play happens in the semifinals of Worlds, oh man, it's up there at the prayer, right? Like if that's a play that happens during the top 4 or the grand finals, we are going to be talking about that play. We're going to have our own podcast about that single play for 2 hours. But because it's the play, it's a single game, it doesn't have that same context and significance. But I do think overall it's a play I'll remember. It's a play I think a lot of people remember, and I think it's a good enough for a player of the day. All right, I think No Man's played very well, and Unicorns of Love deserve the nod in this. I know you have a different opinion. You're maybe a bit biased on that side, but I'm going with No Man.
Oh, I'm 100% biased. I'm not going to hide my bias in this at all, but certainly someone who does deserve it as well. I'm not bringing this forward simply because I'm a homer and I want to shout out my fellow Turks. No, this person absolutely deserves to be in the conversation, and many people might say that they would select him as the player of the day. I'm talking about Armut, the top laner for Supermassive. Fear the pair, people. Fear the pair, which is Turkish. Armut is Turkish for pair, of course. He currently leads the entire field at Worlds 2020 with a 31 KDA and a 91.2% kill participation. So he is riding high right now. He went 7-0-8 on Wukong against Mad Lions. He is deathless right now. He is just basically the lifeblood of this team, and he is acting like the star that he can be on Supermassive. Now, I'm not saying that he will remain the star of this team. I think today he definitely deserves at least consideration for player of the day. I do think, like we've talked about with the jungle-focused meta and the play around Cacao, we might see Cacao shine more consistently. But the way that Armut played today, he definitely earned at least this conversation from me.
It's a bit similar to Team Liquid, who they'll be playing for that most likely number 1 spot in Group A in 2 days. Team Liquid is, a lot of veterans, a lot of these, star players who've had accomplishments. And then you have Tactical, where Armut's kind of like the Tactical of, the Supermassive. He's not a rookie. He was at Worlds last year, obviously. I interviewed him there. They didn't have the greatest tournament, but he's come back, and I think he's surrounded by a lot of these experienced players. Zeitnot's been a legend in Turkey for so long. Cacao played at Worlds 5 years ago, with IED, with Invictus Gaming. Snowflower's been around the scene forever. Like, he is like kind of that young ace that the team is kind of building around. And you talk to the general manager of Supermassive, and they brought that up, right, where they have all this experience and all these like legends around him, and they see Armut as being that, X factor of the team that's going to take them over the top. Where I think Team Liquid looks at Tactical and says the same thing. We're like, we have a lot of great players. We have players who've won world championships, who've reached the top, and this young kid might be the X factor to get us to the knockout rounds. Like, I think both of these teams are built around experienced players. They're both really good at team fighting, and they both have these X factor players who've shined. With Tactical had his Twitch game on day one versus Mad Lions, and then you have Armoot doing the same thing versus Mad Lions on Wukong. So I'm very excited to see who wins the young gun matchup of Armoot versus Tactical in 2 days.